William Nylander comes through in the clutch as the Leafs force a Game 7 in Boston on Saturday night. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan. And guys, before the series, I think a lot of people were expecting it to go 7 games, but not sure many had it going the way it has so far. Terry, what have the Leafs done to put themselves in a position to actually win this series on Saturday night?
Well, yeah, you're right, Rob. I think that you know the defensive play really in the last, we'll say the last couple of games. I think overall in the series has probably been tighter than what a lot of us were expecting from the Leafs. Just given that it was an up and down thing for them during the regular season, but really in the past 2 games, they've just there's just been a different mindset, and you know. You talk about what a team can become when its back is against the wall and all that sort of thing, but fact is they've just been in that much better in attention to detail, and the fact too that they got this done without Austin Matthews is really changing the narrative for me. I mean, win or lose, they lose Game 7. It's we'll see what happens after that, but when you're able to get this done without Austin Matthews and just put forth this higher level of concentration and take some of the Bruins' big players out of it too, and Pastrnak and Marchand in a couple of games, you're doing good things. So we think about execution, scoring goals, and getting things done in offense, but they're executing defensively, and that's been really key for them.
I'm amazed that they're doing this with the goaltending. They are. How many times has goaltending let this team down in the clutch in playoffs? If not wonky play, then an injury of some kind. And the fact they can get a couple of good games out of Samsonov, and then suddenly turn to Joseph Woll and have him forget about his late season struggles and look as calm and composed as he is. And let's remember he had a little taste of this last season. He was talking about that before, about how last season ended, but he played quite well against Florida. And playing well at home, and to Terry's point, they're not scoring a lot of goals, and so all that more pressure is on him, on his defense, and he's just made the clutch saves. I mean, maybe one or two, 10 bell saves are yet to come, but he certainly made the big stops when he had to, and survived. I think that was big for him to survive that power play as well last night from Boston when Toronto's is obviously so bad. So that's a big key for me. I mean, anytime you have goaltending in the playoffs, that's made a lot of coaches look smart at the end of the day.
And as you guys have mentioned, the young kids that have really stepped up here, Matthew Knies and Joseph Woll. And what do we always talk about with this group? That outside of the core four, they need some help with the depth from time to time. And both of these guys have had massive impacts here. Lance, what have you made of these 2 young kids, considering they just don't have a ton of experience at the NHL level?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Sheldon Keefe made the point the other day when he was watching Joseph Woll and Matthew Knies at the podium in Boston, that there's your future, and there's it's hard for us to talk about the core four being older now because Terry and I sort of grew up when they were younger and have seen them mature and all that, but this is huge, and these are a couple of kids who were not first rounders. I mean, the Leafs had to pick these guys. Kyle Dubas finding them in the second round, and very, very important to dig up those gems. And certainly Matthew Knies is not just mature enough to score, but he's mixing it up. And as this series has gone on, Matthew Knies has got better. The big concern, and Terry and I talked about this before, was how he was going to handle the NHL pace. It looked for a while in midseason like he was going to run out of steam. He's found a second life here in playoffs.
Yeah, that play he made last night in the goal, the second Nylander goal, was 10-year veterans might not make that play, right? It just the smarts, and I know Nylander's calling for the puck, and look who Knies was going against on the boards there, Charlie McAvoy, the Bruins' best defenseman that he made that move on to set up Nylander. So another indication of what he's brought all series. You look to the future, and he's developing nicely into that power forward that we thought he could be. And like Lance says, you look past the core four, and he's definitely a guy that's just on the cusp there. And I don't think that he's going to be experimented with through the forwards next year. He's a top 6 player now, and I think we're seeing that. As far as Woll goes, it's you got to remember he is going to be 26, I think, or so before the next season starts. So he's not a young guy per se, but the injuries have set him back. But we do know that when he's been in, going back a few seasons now, this is what he's been doing, whether it's been with the Marlies or the Leafs, and more with the Leafs in the past couple of years. So, excellent goaltending by him. They're going to need him to be, again, one save better than Jeremy Swayman in Game 7. But, I'm not one of these people that thought the switch was too late. I thought Samsonov had done good things, and you don't hang the first 4 games of the series on Ilya Samsonov. But certainly going to Woll now has been worked out perfectly for the Leafs, and something for the goalie to build on too, especially as, like Lance said, he wasn't great in the end of the regular season, so you weren't sure what you're going to get, but he's been fantastic.
Lastly, guys, there's always a lot of pressure on the Leafs, as we know. But Terry, going into Game 7, which of these two teams do you think has more at stake?
It's all on the Bruins, period. The Leafs in their playoff pass and everything, but the Bruins, looking at a second consecutive collapse, they were the better team in the regular season. A lot of people picked them to win the series. To me, the heat's on the Bruins.
The pressure, I think, definitely is on Boston at home. But let's remember, I'm just to play the devil's advocate. If we're sitting here Monday or Tuesday and the Leafs have been eliminated again in a 7-game series, despite the fact they've played well to push it this far, there's still going to be a lot of question marks in that they didn't get beyond the first round series and put themselves in too deep of a hole. Having said that, again, I'm with Terry. They can turn on you pretty quick in Boston, and you sort of just judging by the reaction of the media and there to what's gone on and what happened last year. Boston is a city of winners, and they don't they don't tolerate coming close based on what their football and baseball teams have done and the winning standard that the Bruins have set over the years. So this won't go down well if Boston gets off to a bad start. It could get ugly in there on Saturday night.
Well, a couple of fan bases are going to be having a tough time on Saturday night, regardless of what happens. Should be an interesting game, to say the least. Who do you think will win it? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.